Well, hello, welcome back to Tail 3 Cabins. I'm back down here in southern Ohio. I got a lot of work to do with JD today, especially using a backhoe. Since I was here last time, they did put a guy wire in up there on the pole to help me out. I wish they would have removed the temporary wire that's up there against this tree. So I'm gonna have to probably find a way to sneak up there and cut that loose because if that tree would ever fall down, it would take the pole with it. That's one little thing. I'm not going to take care of that today. Now, if you watched quite a little while ago, maybe about a year ago, that I noticed that our culvert pipe at home was not running at its normal efficiency. And it turns out that somebody else's culvert pipe had washed away further upstream. Karen and I ended up getting that culvert pipe out. We pushed it over to the side of our driveway, and it's been sitting there for about a year. No one's ever come to claim it or asked about it. And when you look up the creek a little bit further, you can see there's a second culvert pipe sitting there. So when life gives you culvert pipes, you make some lemonade. You make a culvert. All the construction changes in the last year has affected our old UTV path. It's made it a little bit harder for us to get up because there's a little dip here, a little swale that the driveway uses now to drain water along the side here to the right. And when you're crossing that, it's a little precarious. You definitely cannot bring the tractor across this area either. So I thought it'd be a great time to bring that culvert down to our cabin and use it to make a little bridge. I'm kind of guessing right now just how wide this needs to be. I'm going with 2 bucket widths of the backhoe. I can't remember the last time I greased a backhoe. I didn't think it was that long ago, but there's a telltale squeak. All right, so about a third into digging the hole here, I noticed that there's a lot of squeaks coming out of the backhoe. I don't know if it's just from all the use that I've had with it, but I got the grease gun out, shot some grease in there, and then it seemed a little sluggish to me, so I ended up putting some hydraulic fluid in there because I know I do have a very slow leak that I need to take care of once I get it back home. But for now, let me see if it makes any difference. I also had a couple Allen screws come loose on the controls for the backhoe. After one motion, it seems that the squeak has gone away. Before I get too far, I'm going to bring the culvert pipe over and make sure I'm digging it wide enough and deep enough. looking like it's going to be wide enough, so that's good. I got maybe about 4 or 5 more feet to dig here, and then just lower the trench down a little bit in front of the culvert pipe. Got to be careful though. This is a hard hat area up above me. A lot of chances of getting knocked on the head, especially now it's a little windy out. If you notice on the right, I have the outrigger down as far as I can get it so it doesn't scrape the ground, but I'm thinking if I lean and the tractor starts to go over to the right, hopefully the outrigger would stop me. Just need to make a little adjustment to put a little bit more dirt on the left side. It's looking pretty good. All I need to do now is dig the ditches a little bit deeper so the water doesn't settle inside the culvert pipe. It'll be easier now to get the UTVs up and down, heading up to the UTV path, and then also I can maybe get the tractor up in there a little bit, where before that was pretty iffy with all the steep angles over there. It doesn't look that steep, but it is. All right, I'm going to be packing up JD, I think, at the end of this trip, but one thing I don't want to do is have to take the backhoe off and then put this back on and then put the backhoe back on. So I'm trying to figure out a way where I can get this up on my trailer without having to make the change back and forth. Just be a little bit of a pain. So I'm wondering if I can lift this up. I don't have a lot of tools with me. I don't have my forks or anything like that, but I'm wondering if I could get this up with the bucket, tie a chain around it. It's going to take a little bit of thinking about it, but I'm going to give it a try because I really don't want to switch back and forth. As I'm backing away, JD threw up a little bit, must have been a little nervous. Brush hog is on the trailer, I just want to move it around a little bit, put it in place for trailering. So a couple of you asked about the property next door to me that was for sale. They wanted info on it, thinking about purchasing it, and by the time they gave me those comments that it was already up for auction and the auction was over with. I got some other comments too why the neighbors did not notify me that it was going for sale. It's kind of a different situation here. There's no one that really lives here per se. This is owned by a company. We used to know the original owners of this place that put this up and put the pole barn up and everything like that. And they took care of this place for a number of years. I used to come down here back in the late 90s, hunt on their property, and we used to come here and have our little hunting camp, did a couple pig roast, and it was a very enjoyable place to come and visit. When the oil boom started up, probably around 10 or 12 years ago around here when the price of oil went up, this company made an offer to the owners and he sold it. He had tested it on the market a couple times before by putting it with a realtor, and he was always asking somewhere around 165, somewhere in there. This company paid him $2.25 because they knew that these oil companies were coming around and that they would probably be leasing the acreage right after they made the purchase, and that's exactly what happened. So they bought this property, it had 35 acres on it, and then they leased it to Antero Oil, and Antero Oil was paying $7,000 an acre at the time. So the company that bought this made all their money back and then some, so they essentially got the property for free from the oil lease. Nothing really became of the leases in this area. They did drill a test well, maybe about a mile away from here, and that was about it. Then the oil prices went down, and then everybody pulled out around here, and that was so much for the oil boom. Now I do hear there's rumblings again of things happening again because oil prices are up, but I don't think we'll see anything again like we did prior with that $7,000 an acre for a lease. So this property went up for auction, and I talked to some of the workers that normally come here, and they use it like a little satellite office, make phone calls or eat their lunch, store their tools and pipes and stuff like that, maintenance stuff for all the wells in this area. So they put it up for auction. They advertised it for about maybe 3 or 4 weeks. I did come to the open house, and I ended up spending the whole time here because the guy that was performing the open house, he could not find the keys. He had to make a phone call, so I drove him back to my place so he can make a call to find out where the keys were for the house. And then about 3 or 4 couples showed up, and that was it. And some of them had questions, and the gentleman from the auction site really couldn't answer them because he's not familiar with the property. But I was able to help out some people, like with some of the well information, some of the gas well information, some of the history of the property, where some of the property lines are. So I hung around for basically the whole open house, and like I said, only about 3 or 4 couples showed up here. And there were a few more people interested online according to the auctioneer. So then auction day came around and I started watching it, and the house opening bid was $50,000, but there was a reserve on it. No one quite knew what the reserve was except for, of course, the corporation. I can speculate what it is, and I'll give you my opinion after I tell you the whole story here. But it went up for auction. There's maybe a few bids, started out at $50,000 as the opening bid. A couple weeks went by and it was only up to about $52,000 or $53,000. The day of the auction ending, which is going to be a Monday, bids started to speed up a little bit. So in the morning there were a couple, then in the afternoon there were a couple. And the price jumped up into the hundreds, the low hundreds. When it was getting close to about a half hour left on the auction, the increments were going from 500 and they jumped up to 2,500. But every time there was a bid thrown in there, it always said the reserve was not met. The auction was supposed to end at 5 p.m. on this Monday. As we're getting closer to 5 p.m., there's about 4 minutes to go or so. They're still actively bidding, but I think it's the same person just trying to get above whatever that reserve is, putting a bid in about every 30 seconds. And then I noticed the auction's supposed to end right at 5 p.m. Well, then towards the end of the last couple bids, it says the auction is going to end at 5:02 now. And then they throw another bid in, and then the auction is going to end at 5:03, and then 5:04. And I don't really understand that. I would think if I were bidding and I bid at 5 o'clock and I had the highest bid, and then it goes for a couple minutes and then somebody else squeaks in their bid on top of mine, I'd be pretty upset. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that. I don't know if they are actively watching it, and if they see people actively bidding, they kind of extend it a little bit. But essentially what happened is it didn't meet the reserve. The highest bid was $157,500. Now I can speculate that they were looking for somewhere around 200, and I would think around 2.25 for this place. It was 45 acres. It was the house, a barn, a garden. It's a nice piece of property, but I think for me, a lot of people said that I should bid on it or buy it. But for me, I don't need a fourth home right now. I wouldn't mind having some of the acreage, but I really do not want to be taking care of a place in Tennessee, a place in Northern Ohio, and then the place next door. During the open house, I went through here, and this would need quite a bit of work. There's skylights that were leaking. There's some plumbing that needs to be done. The place just needs to be updated a little bit. It almost looked like a museum from when I used to hunt here, that nothing was really touched. All the little figurines were on the shelves. Still had the same linens on the bed from what I remember. So this place doesn't get much use, but people do come here during the week, a couple days a week, and check things out. And when they're maintaining stuff in the area, they stop here, eat their lunch, stuff like that. But that's been the history for this place for probably about the last 10 years now. So I've talked with some of the employees, and I've been meaning to call the owner because I'm going to see if I can still hunt on this property now that nothing's happening, and it doesn't look like anything is going to happen for a little while now. What the fate of this property is going to be, I'm really not sure. There's been rumblings that from the employees saying that the owner of the corporation is getting out of everything, and he's selling the gas wells, and he's selling his business, and that's why he put this place up for sale. But it was mentioned that the owner of the business might just turn around and buy this for himself personally. Now, I'm not sure why you'd want to put it up for auction. The only thing I can think of is if it's owned by the corporation and he wants to buy it, that he's going to have to pay a fair market value for it. Like, he couldn't just say, I'm going to buy it myself and then I'm going to buy it for 50 grand. I think there's some rules against that when a corporation owns something and they're selling things off. So I'm wondering if maybe this auction also maybe served as what a good asking price would be. And I'm just speculating here, but maybe he said, look, it auctioned off and the highest price was 157, so I'll buy it for 158. But that's what's happening with the property over here. I don't know if we'll be able to hunt here this year. Like I said, I still have to call that owner and see what's going on, and if we are, it's a shame that I took all the tree stands down. So I'm not positive what the future of this property holds for us next door, or for who might want to purchase it, or what's going to happen with it. But keep watching the channel. I'll give you any updates if I learn anything new about it. But let's go back to the other side of our property over there and get some more work done. Drone shot that you just saw was a couple weeks ago, and in the background, if you remember, I planted some grass back here. I used what was called like pasture seed, and it's coming not too bad. There are a few bare patches here and there. I don't know if that's just from me missing it with the spreader, or maybe some heavy rain just kind of consolidated the seed in certain areas and took it away from others. Come the spring, I'll just lay down some more seed, touch it up a little bit here and there, and I think it'll be good. I just need to get some more rocks out and some of the roots that are sticking up so I can get the lawnmower over it. That's going to do it for today. I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you enjoy and subscribe to these videos. Click on that little bell when you want to know when a new one's coming out, and keep an eye on us. Take care, everybody.